Today I have Samantha from Peard Real Estate, and we are having a good chat about automation and products that are available for property managers, how they are used, and the good and the bad and the ugly of them. So thank you for joining me, Samantha.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
So let's first talk about what automation you use in your office.
So we use Inspect Real Estate for home opens and viewings and potential tenants inquiries.
Do your sales department use that as well?
We still have, no, the sales don't use that,
Yeah.
but we still have a sales department, yeah.
Yep. Anything else?
Just Console Cloud, I suppose, as our CRM, Trust Accounting. But
Don't
that's
use
all.
any other automation?
Not that I know of.
Okay, cool, excellent. Well, we at IRE, and I've always said that I would replace a staff member before I replace IRE. I do love
Interesting,
it.
yeah.
Love it. For us, it's really important for the prospecting. So, and we're very proactive with prospecting, so that's important. What automation does Console Cloud have these days? I'm not too familiar with that product.
Automation as far as your workflow, so inspection, setting up routine inspections, sending out the entry notices, the SMS the day or two before, reminding tenants of their inspection. You can automate them with auto reminders and things like that. You can set it to how you want it to be, as automated as you want.
Sure.
Yeah. So and rent receipts, rent arrears. Again, you can send out reminders and set them up for every second day or every day. Different types of reminders, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
SMSs,
Excellent.
emails, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it must be the same as Property Me that we use, where you've got, I probably would prefer if that program had a bit more automation. At the moment, it has the option to send out automatic emails without checking them first. Like, when a receipt's created, for example,
yes.
You can just go out, but you've also got the option of it staying in the outbox till you approve it to be sent. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But the arrears one's a big thing for me. I would love to have that automated.
Again,
arrears.
We just turn it on every day, or the first day that you're overdue, you'll get a friendly reminder. Third day, it's a pay now kind of thing. Yeah.
Have you heard of Our Property?
I have heard of them, but don't know much about them.
People have very strong opinions on it, whether it's a good or a bad strong opinion. I think that it's got a lot of potential. I am using Our Property, but it is only for rent arrears at the moment because it does do that automation for me, and it uses a lot of AI, which I love, and it's very good with the lease renewals. So to give you an example, the way that it would do a lease renewal is you could it would remind you that the lease is due to be renewed. You would say yes, renew it at this price for this lease term. It sends it to the owner who approves it ultimately, and then it bypasses you and sends the lease straight to the tenant, so that all you get back is your signed lease.
Wow.
Which is cool. Really cool. There's a couple of little glitches in between, which the people listening who have had experience with Our Property will, in WA particularly, will experience. But the potential is really awesome. That's really cool. So then I guess that brings us on to sort of DocuSign. Do you use DocuSign?
We do use DocuSign, sorry.
Okay,
yeah, we do.
So that's helpful as well.
Yeah.
Our Property is a overlay over your trust account software. So it is pretty much allowing that automation over your current, Property Me or Property Tree or Console to do that automation task for you. So you don't sound like you need it though.
No, I think at the moment we're very happy with Console. It does do the lease renewal automation as well. You can renew for 12 months at this current rent, and then the owner gets an email and they click on a button saying yes, agree, or no, want to increase, and they can write their little comment when the email comes back to us. So there's automation of that. And I think from what I understand, we're moving to a system where our inspection app will integrate with Console, and it does all the mapping for you. So if you've got 6 houses in one street, it'll tell you to do those 6 houses in one day.
Okay.
So that sort of automation is coming into it. We're not quite there yet, but it's coming soon.
Yeah. What's that inspection?
Property Inspection Manager.
Okay.
PIM.
Is that a new one?
We've been using it for about 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Yeah. Do you use any automation for your PCRs? How does that?
So because we outsource our PCRs,
of course,
I believe it's all automated from the outsourcing company. They send out the email 7 days that it's due back, and it's all automated from them.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. That's one of my problems at the moment, just trying to work out my PCRs because they're paper at the moment. So I need to get that automated.
Once you go electronic, you won't look back.
I know. Application automation.
So we do use Inspect Real Estate that has an online application system, and it's, you know, they can apply before they view it, but subject to viewing the home still. We get the application so we can meet them there with their application. Excellent, you've ticked all the boxes, you've met the criteria, and now we're actually meeting, like say they have teeth and shoes and all those kind of things that go with it. Tick, put it through for further processing. Otherwise, no, we don't. We do it all in-house. We make our own phone calls. We do our own reference checks. We do the NTDs. We don't outsource any of that.
Okay. Have you looked at any, or you not?
No,
because you're
not interested. Yeah.
So I got it was suggested to me to look at the tenant options automation, which is an application automation, and I was not needing it or not fussed about it, but two industry colleagues who I hold with high regard said, "Hash, go get it. Like, you're not going to look back. It's amazing. If they say it's amazing, just sign me up and I'll take it."
Yeah.
So I went on board. The guy that owns it is fabulous. He's really great. And we've actually really loved it. So my office, who doesn't really embrace the outsourcing and stuff very well, actually have really enjoyed it. And the benefit for us is that number one, we meet the client. So we always have our own judgment and character when we character reference when we first meet them. And I mean, let's be honest, generally you know who you like at the inspection anyway, at the viewing, and then you're just really double checking on the application. So then they apply through Tenant Options, which we've got linked to our website, and then it sends out all the references. Now, from my experiences, even though they're automated references, which I will talk about what I don't like in a minute, they're a little bit easier to complete than some of the other programs like OneForm, etc. But what happens is it checks all those, and there's really good facility options or functions where you can like shortlist. If I got 10 applications for one property, I could shortlist my top 3 and just press landlord summary, and it summarizes it for the landlords. That's really easy. Where it's really great is when we're out of the office quite a bit. So for example, someone could apply I could have everyone apply on Monday, but and I know that we've got to get to applications quickly, but let's say that I am out for the rest of Monday afternoon and I'm going to process it on Tuesday and get it sorted. The system has already done the checks. So where it saves us a lot of time is checking applications that maybe we wouldn't necessarily check all the references for, like if we weren't going to go ahead with them anyway.
So it's like a screening process?
It is a screening process. And then from that, whoever we liked and whoever our top 1 or 2 were, we would then make the phone calls and do our due diligence just to make sure that they are, that's the right application to go with. So it definitely saves us many hours a week. It's one of my concerns with this automation is that someone could put in a fake email address and they could answer their own references.
Yes. Big
question. And they have assured me that there's the IP address, which is like I think your computer address, that if that matches the person who's applying and the person who's responded matches, then it'll come up with an alert.
Okay.
I love.
Good to know.
I had one the other day where it came up with an alert to say the IP addresses match.
Wow.
So I know that either he or someone in the household has answered that. Now this one was it was a reference from his mum because he's living at home. So, I didn't worry too much about it. But if it was a real estate agent who had that was meant to be responding with the same IP address.
You'd be picking up the phone.
Absolutely.
Asking questions.
Well, I probably wouldn't even bother. I'd just throw it in the bin.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
That too.
But, it's really, really smart. So my staff and I have been loving the Tenant Options one. With the automation, we have spoken about being on the receiving end of it. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Personally, I don't like it. You can tell it sounds like an overseas call, the voice, the quality of the line. Yep. I don't like it. It's very yes, no, black and white. Sometimes you need to see the grey in people. Okay, they didn't look after the gardens, but it was a massive 1 acre block or something like that. So would they look after a brand new townhouse? Probably, yeah. So I don't think you get that from your automated reference checks. I think you do need sometimes to go that little bit deeper.
Yeah. And I know that...
A bit more personalised.
Yeah, and to also just have a chat in general about that tenant.
Yeah.
I know one of the automation, I can't remember the program, but it's like, what would you rate this tenant out of 10? And it's like... It's really
based on
stupid.
what?
On what? That's right. Yeah. Like on their range or on their personality or on their...
Or they wear shoes,
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
Every
absolutely.
day.
And I know that if we receive the automation, some of the automation lists, we won't answer them, and the property manager will email that person back and say, please phone for a reference.
Yeah.
whether it's a good or a bad tenant, it's just you need
it's
to phone.
still that. And I think property manager to property manager, we tend to understand the industry codes. Oh yeah, not good gardeners but good people. You can get a feel for it by the way the other person is talking on the phone to you.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
More than just a standard automated response from a computer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, we've in our other session, we spoke about the outsourcing, which is sort of, what those VAs are doing, where I would be inclined to prefer the automation of the program, like the tenant options, for example, than that VA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our inspect real estate, you can click off, you can click and send off for references as you're going out for your 5 inspections for the day.
That's right, yeah.
Again, it'll email back saying, call me, or yes, no, standard answers. So then you pick up the phone and call them. Okay, so they were good tenants. Yeah, great. The other thing is, I've lost my train of thought. And we still do pick up the phone call, and it does pre-screen as well. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. It will work out the tenants' income that they've put into their application. Are they suitable? They have 20% income spend on rent. Perfect. Yep. Progress to the next stage. Yeah. So it does pre-screen for us as well.
Yeah. And I think that's really, I find that's quite a time saver. Application automation, you've got one form, IRE, 10 options. I think they're the sort of 3
I think it's called to apply.
To apply.
To apply it is, yeah.
So you've got that. Then we've spoken about the trust softwares and the automation available there. Have you heard of Rental Heroes?
No. Is it good or bad?
I don't know. I need to get some more advice on it. I know a few people that have used it and like it, and I know people that have used it and not liked it. So Rental Heroes is, as a real basic summary, I'm sure there's more to it, but just a basic summary, it is the AI through like messenger services where a tenant could message you to say, where's my rent paid to? And it picks up on those keywords and it overlays your trust account software so that it can respond and say,
like a chat bot.
Yeah. That sort of links with the paid to date and I think you can do like maintenance and stuff, but it's very much a tenant AI to help there. But my question is, how many times does a tenant call up and ask for their rent paid to?
Not a lot. No. Not these days when you can set up your automation through EFT and things like that.
Yeah, I agree. And then you've got tenant portals and things like that I would encourage them to use.
Yeah, so we have a tenant portal. Yep. Tenant can see where the rent's paid to, when the next inspection is, and they can log maintenance through that as well.
Correct.
Through console.
Yeah. So that for me is
that's all we need.
That's all you need. Correct. I agree. You've also got Colmeo. Have you heard of Colmeo?
No.
Okay. So Colmeo is KOLMEO. And there are a few big agencies in Perth that are currently using it. And I think that is going to be a good option, similar with the AI. But if anyone listening hasn't looked into or heard of it, I think Colmeo is one to watch.
Okay.
That's going to be a big one, I think, for larger offices probably. And then the automation we touched on in one of our previous sessions about reception automation, which is, someone calling the office.
Diverting calls to a different base.
Yeah. I like that type of automation.
I can see how it would work for a, like say, business model financial wise, but also a smaller, one property manager kind of agency. If she needs to go out of the office, your phones are answered somewhere.
Yeah.
Rather than calling your mobile and distracting you. Yeah,
exactly. So coming back to automation, does it benefit the client or the property manager more, do you think, or the agency?
You can look at it always, can't you? I think a bit of both. Definitely the property manager and the agency will benefit. You can work smarter, I believe. Like I said, again, it allows you time to follow up other things that you might not have had time to do before. From a client's point of view, I think a lot of our clients in the area we work in, a lot of older school mum and dad kind of investors, and they like the phone call, the personalised email, that sort of thing. So I think it depends on your demographics as well. Yeah, absolutely. I think that actually, how we talked about outsourcing in a previous session about outsourcing doing property managers out of a job. Yeah.
I actually think that automation is going to do the outsourcing companies out of
a job.
You know what I mean?
Potentially. Yes, definitely.
Because I think there's more, like for me, I would rather focus on automation
than outsourcing.
Yeah. I think that the automation, I think there's automation that doesn't affect the client, I like. So, you know, with tenant options or with application, that doesn't really affect the client because that's helping in-house.
Yep.
I think that there is, but automation, which is automatic emails to owners,
I'm not keen on it.
No. And I don't think the receiver is that keen on it. My owners are, I think, very similar to yours. They're a bit old school. They don't like that generic look.
Yeah. To the point, if they see an email coming from the system,
Yes.
like not my name, but the system, I have had owners block it.
Yeah, correct.
And I've had to call them up and go, it's actually me.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I now know to just email them personally rather than through the system.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I think that's, if anyone is looking at automation, they're the things to consider. Does it affect the client or does it affect the property manager, and who is it really helping?
Yeah.
But I think they're very cost-effective ways to assist.
Yeah. That work smarter, not harder kind of
Correct.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Then benefits for smaller agencies versus larger agencies using automation. Who do you think benefits more?
I think a smaller agency.
Yeah. I agree.
Like I said, if it's just a boutique agency with one property manager, it enables them to fulfill their clients' needs more. If they've got something going on in the background, you know, you're going off to do your 5 or 6 inspections for the day. Meanwhile, you've got your applications being checked by your AI process. While you're out and about, come back to an email full of references.
Yeah.
So you can then pick up the phone. So half your work's done for you by the time you get back to the office.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they are all the virtual automation that I can actually think of that are currently being used. I'm just trying to think if there's any other main ones, because there's so many new apps and programs.
There's always something coming out, and I used to sort of keep track of them, but sometimes you just got to put your head down and focus on what you're doing. So I don't follow it a lot at the moment, but I'm always curious to know what's out there.
I always encourage people to have demos. Like if someone calls me up wanting to do a demo, I always just do it just for curiosity to see what's available. But our trust account softwares are pretty good these days. And I did a blog just on my LinkedIn recently about apps, and you know, apps are ultimately some sort of automation. And I think I had read that like each property manager has on average like 15 to 17 apps that they use, so some sort of automation. But if you think about it, like you've got let's say the email's one of them, but you've got emails, you've got your trust account software, you've got your inspections, you've got
the viewings, the
IRE,
home opens, you know
what I mean. If you actually add them up,
I suppose,
you've actually got quite a lot.
But
I always try to aim to have my tips that I'll leave everyone with are to try and limit it to 5 to 8 programs that you have to open in the morning, and make sure that you use them 80%, the functionality of it 80%, and make sure that you review it regularly so that there's no overlapping.
And is it still suiting your business?
Correct. That's right. And is it cost effective?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I see a lot of people like with Property Me. Now, I actually don't mind the Property Me inspections, like routine inspections and PCRs. I think they're just fine and normal, and I'm not sure what else you would want. Like maybe you might like to have, I don't know, photos at the bottom and text at the top or whatever, but really it doesn't really matter.
It's still an inspection report.
It's still an inspection report, and a pretty good one.
Yeah.
But then people who still pay for the like another inspection app. And I'm like, well, why would, because they don't like the format of the Property Me one. But I'm like, well, that's really doubling up on the functionality.
Yes.
Like, that's a waste.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It is. I can see that because, like I said, Console is merging with our app that we use. So at the moment, they're two separate things. They don't have integration, but they are integrating them so that we can just then have one, like you say, open one software.
Yeah.
To bring in the inspections.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I think the aim of the game is, because it's scared daunting to have too many. And to finish off, is automation doing property managers out of a job?
I think in the future, yes.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, the benchmark used to be, when I first started 15 years ago, 100 properties per property manager. It's creeping up to 110, 120, 150. So, you know, there's a couple of jobs lost there within an agency itself. So I think it will. Yeah.
And I think that property managers need to remember that with all this automation and all this extra assistance, they should be able to manage more than what they did in the past.
Yeah, with automation and assistance, I agree.
Yeah. People still complain about the number. I remember someone saying to me once, if you just didn't have to tell them how many properties they managed,
That's right.
that would be fine.
Exactly. It's a numbers game, isn't it?
And they put this number in
That
their
magical
head.
100. Yeah.
Correct. And then they compare it to other people that, might look after
It's so
80 or
different.
150. It's different.
Yeah.
You
So
just-
depends on your property, where they're located,
Yeah.
and the systems you've got in place. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that is our advice with automation and where we think it is going in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.